Welcome to the second session then of the Director's Stream, where we're going to find insights and turn it into action. Now we've done the insights bit and we're now on the action. So welcome to the second session of this nail-biting, really incredibly detailed, fictitious scenario from yours truly. So what will you get out of sticking around for some more fun? Well, as I bob the agenda up, maybe I'll make it sound a little bit more snazzy by saying that we're going to lights, camera and action the story into a series of campaigns which will work towards the strategic goal and our marketing target of 5,000 new We Discover bookings by 2026. We're going to look at creating campaigns with a goal and objectives, applying test and learn to personalisation, adding voucher incentives, and then reviewing the stats. But just a bit of a call out really to scan that QR code, tell us the good, the bad, the ugly and everything in between about our product. We really want to hear your feedback and what's important to you. If you haven't got access to that QR code, that's not a problem. Email us through, tell us what through wishes and tell us what you need. So let me introduce myself. My name is Liz. I am the product manager for the analyze and campaign side of Apteco, and we are about to start on scene 1, insight into the action plan. So we've drafted the initial plan and we've presented it to ops and comms, and they're now aware of the marketing that's going out the door, when it's going to go out the door, what to expect in terms of demand and how we need their support. We've shown it to product, compliance and legal. They're happy that we are showcasing the product truthfully and that we're adhering to contact preferences and channel preferences as well. And we've shown it to finance so that they can understand where the budget is being set. Hopefully you've signed it off, and that we are going to use our target audience. And through our scenario planning in focus group 1, we kind of came up with the fact that we could actually achieve this goal. So they're happy that we could achieve it with the budget that they've just signed off. And we've shown it to commercial, which is happy of the price point that we're offering. So we have a target audience. It's our previous European holiday bookers that have booked activities. And we're going to send them a message through various channels, but that message will be one cohesive approach. And it's going to be a message about We Discover, and it's going to be uniform across the whole of the campaign. And because of our target audience profile, we can start to understand the positioning of We Discover. And perhaps that is a city explorer that has time on their hands in order to make a decision about what excursions and tours they want to go to. We also know that they have quite a high income profile, so we can showcase the best of the tours really to them, or maybe even a tiered approach to those tours as well. But how do we evidence that the profile findings are actually useful or true? And so when we jump right in really to make that comms plan and that contact strategy and to get the agency to make all our creatives, we need to be confident that we've made the right choice in our creative decisions. So we begin scene 2 musing over whether that target audience would be more engaged using a cityscape or a wilderness escape. Well, let's muse no more. Let's test it out. So here is my campaigns. You'll notice actually that we have created campaign folders within the campaigning space in Orbit. That's for organisational purposes as well. And we have a We Discover folder here, and then in it we have various campaigns. I'm going to take you through A/B testing. A/B testing allows you to take a sample of records from your main target audience and send them to versions or multiple versions of an email. And then you can choose based on engagement, clicks, opens, unsubscribes. You can choose which winning version to lead with for the rest of the target audience. And that A/B testing sits within Orbit. So it isn't Apteco email specific. It can work with any email integration that you've got. And it's manual at the moment. So we will collect back the stats and we'll ask you to make a decision of what to do next. We will hope to enhance that, so to make it automatic so that you just test and set up the success criteria, and after that test duration, we will then send out the results. But let's have a look at how you set it up. So I'm going to edit this to show you. So an A/B test can sit on its own like this one, or it can sit in the flow of the campaign. It's entirely up to you. We do stop you from doing an A/B test into an A/B test, however. We don't think that's particularly useful, but you can put this into a multi-channel proposition if you wanted to. I'm going to click on the plus sign and then I'll show you where to add it. It's from control here. We're starting with email. We'll only support that at the beginning, but then we hope to support more channels and eventually time of the day send. Image test, I've chosen 2 versions. You can have up to 5 versions if you want, and you choose a percentage or an audience size as a percent. I've chosen 10, and then we split it by 2 ways, so equally 5 and 5. And the winning 90% will then get the winning version. Our test duration is 2 hours. However, you can kind of override that. If you get the stats in, you can then say, yes, that is my winning version. Clearly, it's my winning version before that test duration is over. Then we add our images. So if I click into my city image and into my email, this is my first email template, which I've set up, and this is the first image change. So I'm testing basically this banner here, whether people would be more inclined to see a cityscape and read on, or a wilderness escape or escape and read on. The copy is exactly the same. So everything else in this email is the same. I'll just show you the wilderness one. You get an idea of what we're testing. And it's here. Okay, so once you're done with that, and you could apply objectives if you wanted to, because you might want to track success. We're not going to in this case. It's purely to just showcase you the A/B test. So once you're happy with that, you would edit the schedule, set the schedule, and then publish. When it's progressing, it will look something a bit like this. So if I click on my image test, you can see that actually I've got some people waiting. That's my step. That's my the rest of my target audience, and you can see the opens and clicks, etc., that have been gathered. So we can clearly see that our city image is winning over our wilderness image. You would select which one you're happy with, and then it would roll with the winning version for the rest of the 90%. And I'll just show you one that has been processed. So this one's been ended. And if I click on that, you can see there's your nod to people stage, but this is the winning version has gone through, and you can see the complete stats. So everyone who's gone through and the responses through the city image, which you chose as the winner. So as I said, this is a great way for us to understand, well, was the profiling results kind of valid? And so we can take a look and we can say, yeah, we are testing a hypothesis. Our hypothesis here is that our profile results matter, and that our city image yields more engagement than our wilderness one. So we're quite confident to roll that out now. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and we'll have a look at the things. So as I said, we've been through this hypothesis. This hypothesis is to ask whether our profile findings matter. And our A/B test has just proved that, yeah, we should carry on with that, as our cityscape is increasing engagement. But what about channel? So we can use our target audience for social awareness. That can be our custom audience. And where the platform allows, we can then say, well, find me more lookalikes. And that expands our reach and also the awareness of our product proposition. We can then take a look at email and DM. And this is more kind of leading with our channel preference in here that we've captured really at the start. So we're throwing We Discover into the faces of our customers in the hope that when they're considering holidays, they will look towards us and book us. So we'll book that product. These channels can also be used to kind of acknowledge any consideration, such as inquiries or even bookings. As we set our objectives up and get Orbit to track them, we can also utilise whether those people have kind of achieved those objectives. And if they have achieved them, we can send them through messaging, which says, thanks for achieving them. Here's some extra or some incentive. We also have an app. And I think most of us would consider an app to be sort of the equivalent of Gollum's precious ring. So we listen for it, we check it, we update it, we doom scroll on that phone every day. So if they have enabled an app to send them notifications, then that customer may be pretty loyal to us, actually. So if they are, an app can't be idle on your phone for very long. So the user either disables that app or even the phone does if it's not been active. So actually push notifications can be really engaging channel. They can be very lucrative for engagement. And if we time it right, then we can really get someone to consider our product. But is it the right thing to do? And we can track the success of our channels utilising control groups and objectives. We don't have to get it right first time. We do have a license to tweak, but we need to evidence. We need evidence to decide if any changes need to be made and what those changes need to be. So here is our marketing plan, and all we need to do is execute this thing now. So we close this scene with a deep breath as we embark on the next part of the action plan. How do we levitate over the competitor noise and bring We Discover to the marketplace? So this is the best bit of the reel, really, setting up the main campaign, anticipating the plot twists and turns of engagement and ensuring that we stay on track. But not everything needs to be done from scratch. So we can set up the main comms, we can set up the goal, we can set up the objectives and control groups, the personalisation, the paths of engagement and the multi-channel approach. Let's have a look at that, all of that. So we'll move away from A/B testing and into our next campaign. So before we do that, I'll digress a little and I'll just show you campaign templates. So if we click on New and then into Campaign, we can get to see here that we have various templates that we just now shipped with Orbit. The predefined ones are Apteco's, and hopefully you'll agree that these templates take you from a welcome campaign all the way over to engagement, so newsletters and birthdays, and then onwards to renewal or re-engagement. They also have various pieces of functionality in them that can give you a starting point. So if I scroll down, I can then utilize or show the one that I used, which is this one, the weekly product showcase. Now, if I click on here, the reason why I used it is it's got a goal already set up so you can follow it, objectives, which you can follow it as well, and then an objective interaction. So where someone's met the objective, then we can send them different communications because of it. So with all that set up, then I can go and load this and tweak it. And I have tweaked it to what I need. On the left-hand side is a description of what it does. And then you've got useful links that takes you to a help document. But there are many templates here which include loops and triggered events and sections and interaction splits. So they range all of the functionality, and all of the complementing help documents are also listed. You can preview all of the templates that you need, but you can only use them if you've got them licensed. What we've also allowed you to do is to template your own campaigns. So you can go into a campaign and you can say, I want to save this as a template, and it'll come up in that list. It'll come up in the custom tab alongside all of the other templates. Okay, so let's have a look at my product showcase. And I'll edit it so that you can see the components. So if I click on campaign goal, I have a goal here of we discover bookings, and my target is 5,000. Actually, that's the minimum. It would be great if it went over that, wouldn't it? And then I have a track from and track to date. And that's for me for the year, but depending on your data, you might want to just restrict that bit. I want to answer 3 questions really. The first one is whether this campaign was worth it. Would people have just taken the product anyway? The second one is which channels are worth it. So which activities, which channels actually led to more bookings or met more objectives. And the third one is what messages did that as well. So which messages were the most appealing to my customers? If I click on my target segment, I can then apply a control group, and I just toggle that on and then choose a percentage control. Now, it might be that you don't want that control group to be applied to every single message. There may be some acknowledgements that you need to send out that everyone should get. And so you can toggle off and toggle on the control group depending on your needs. So the control group is applied to the target segment. And in this particular email, we haven't applied a control group. We have toggled it off. But it is on by default once you've applied the segment to the control group to the target segment. If I scroll down into my sections, this one here is the first one where we're going to launch or showcase We Discover. And we're split by channel preference, so we're adhering to that. So we have a brochure and an email. Both have objectives set. You can see the little trophy icon. And actually, it's easier to set some kind of more objectives and more personalization in an email. Perhaps it's cheaper rather than easier to do so. And so I'll showcase personalization within the email campaign. So if I click on the email, and I'll just edit the template to show you. Many of the email service providers will have conditional blocks. And they are kind of will change depending on which cohorts or groups of people you define who gets what. Now, many of them just resort to one kind of flag or one name. So in this particular case, if my column is City Rich, my data is called City Rich, and it contains images A, then show this particular block. If my data is called City Explorer and the attribute contains image B, then show this particular block. And then if not, image C. Now, sitting behind that flag could be something really, really complicated. And many ESPs don't allow that complication to be added within the editor itself. But we can. We can do that through expressions. So you can create multiple if statements, if you like, really complex expressions that would then derive in one flag that the email service provider can use to dictate who gets what copy. So with that said then, and you'll notice actually that this is City Rich, so this is my city Time Rich. And as we had a look at the profile before, these are the imageries that we saw. So boats, wine and food. And then for Explorer, we said food, nature, bird watching and wine. So they're the images that have been dictated because of the profile again. So if I click on close and scroll down to my personalization and click on my images A, these are expressions. Now you can use FastArts expressions if you've got those saved, or you can use our expression editor here and just add the expression in. Either way, these expressions can be used in order for you to bring up your personalization, so to make things really personalized. And I said, derive into one flag that the email service provider can then utilize. So there is images A. It's an if statement that says if my most recent resort type is city and my segmentation is time rich, then show images A. Images B is very similar, although 2 is explorer. And then images C is both of them together. I've also applied objectives, and objectives, I've decided to split them into a more granular detail. And the reason why is because I want to understand whether it's nature, tour or food and drink tours that are really making the bookings. So is there anything that's particularly popular? And if I click on here, nature, I can see that I've chosen to track bookings that are filtered by nature bookings. And then I have a response window and a target for that particular objective. And we will track all of that for you. There's no need to go through all of your transactions and find people that have booked this particular definition. So we've set objectives and I've taken you through personalisation. And the more and more we know about our customer, the more and more we can personalise. Then we'll go into app notifications, which is the next section. Again, we have a push notification with an objective on it. So we're seeing whether a push notification drives bookings. And it's really just to tell them that we've launched Rediscover. We then have a section on objective interactions. Now, if a person has taken out a food tour, a nature tour, or a bus tour, excursion, then we will offer them 20% extra. So if I click on this one to show you what that means and edit that template, then we can utilize something called voucher codes. Now, voucher codes in this particular case will just result to a column called food voucher, and we will then place unique codes in this particular block per individual so they can redeem the 20%, and it's be unique to them. And admin will upload the files. They will be shown on the admin screen how many vouchers have been used out of that particular file. And then the user, when they come to publishing the campaign, will be warned whether they have enough vouchers in order to complete for everyone in that campaign. If they don't, they can go and top up the vouchers and then publish the campaign. So if I scroll down here, you can see that I have a column header called food vouchers, and all I've done here is chosen or picked up my voucher set. And in this particular one, it's my food codes. I have an objective on this particular message, is to see whether people have taken up that extra offer or incentive. So I've defined it as taken up the code. And lastly, if they haven't taken up the code, then I will send them a push notification to tell them that there is still an offer to be redeemed and it's sitting in their account. So that is my campaign, and that will run to launch Rediscover. Now I'll show you what it's like when it has been run. I'll click on this journey. So this is the same campaign, and if I click on the campaign goal, what you can see is whether we're on track or not. So the actual goal, we have exceeded expectation. These are all of the objectives which are in the particular messages. So nature, EM, tour and food and drink, it allows me to see which kind of genre of tour is driving my bookings. If I scroll down, I can see some are on track. So the DM we're possibly waiting for people a bit longer to book. We have the app, which is performing really well, and the push extras that is also performing. So our app is performing particularly well. The offer extras that have come through the email, they're at risk. In fact, we haven't got any response on them yet. So we might scrap those actually in future years. It doesn't seem as though the offer makes sense through an email. We could just serve it through the app. I can launch a reporting dashboard for a bit more detail. So we have a summary and communication summary. And this is meant to be an out-of-the-box dashboard. So once you edit it, it just becomes like a normal dashboard that you can add tiles to and you can share. And in the responses, this bit's important because it shows us our control. So we can see responses by control, and then response type, We can also see responses by the different messages. So were the messages worth it? And then if I scroll down, you can see ultimately a marketing effectiveness grid. So the number of communications, either control or not, recipients that meant, the communication cost, the responses I got, the revenue generated, and ultimately the profit. So I can make a decision really of whether this campaign is successful or not. And this is probably the one that I would tart up and I would send to board in order to see whether the goal was on track. So let's go back and summarize our key findings. So let's use Orbit to do the heavy lifting, basically. Add the goals and objectives, and the responses will then be automatically tracked and reported on. Add control groups to understand whether customers would have done it anyway. Test and learn using A/B testing. Have a look to see which emails are more engaging before sending it to the majority. Use your knowledge of the customer in order to drive personalisation and unlock the limitations, perhaps, of the different channels through expressions. And finally, add voucher codes to your messages to incentivize those messages and maybe push that extra kind of revenue out of the campaign. And we can launch a tracker dashboard in order to see the results and monitor the results. Depending on the results, you may want to change your campaign or even launch an ad hoc campaign to get people to be more incentivized or enticed by We Discover. So this is an ever-evolving feedback loop, really, and we're going to carry on to evolve this feedback loop so that you can understand all the way through how successful your campaign was in achieving your goal. So we end really again with a call out to contact us with any wishes that you've got. Email us, let us know what you think. Thank you very much.